Hello, this is the group, the Swift Ocelots at Full Sail University, and today we're going to be showcasing our app for our midterm project for the end of project and portfolio 3. My name is Wesley Cassaday.
My name is Michael.
My name is Ryan Oliver.
And I'm Noah Stephenson. So our app, Spent, is a personal budget management app and expense tracker for students and adults who need to manage their finances. Let's take a walk through the app here. I'll go ahead and log in by entering my PIN and continuing. So here we can see our user dashboard. We can see our total amount that we've spent throughout the month. We can see our expenses visualized in a pie chart, and we can see some recent transactions along with the amount. If we tap on one of those transactions, we can see some details about it, that it's a housing transaction, $760, the date, and a custom note. And then we can also tap on the pie chart to see the breakdown of our expenses, that housing took up 49% of our budget this month, transportation took up 10%, and so on. So now let's go ahead and enter a new transaction.
All right, so here when we enter a transaction, we can enter an amount. And then we can choose the category, and there's some preset ones which you can rename later, and we'll start with utilities. And then we can add a note to it to make it more specific, and for now we'll put electricity, and this is to further categorize. And then we can go back and we can see that update to the dashboard, and the yellow category gets bigger, and we can go back and see that the note is there.
And so now we'll go over to the budget setup page.
As you see here, this is our budget setup page. This is the standard income, expenses, and what remains. The program will automatically adjust the expenses and remaining to the income that you have set. So this is obviously useful for keeping track of categories and different things that you want to spend. We'll do an example here, changing the income, and this should update automatically for the user. It'll adjust the remaining as well. As you see down here, all the categories are remain color coded, and they have the different colors to represent them. As you can see, there's a limit at the far right end of it, and your category in the far left. If you click on it, you'll see the remaining for that category. It'd be very helpful if you are trying to track how much you got left of that. As you notice on the other category, if it's over, it's going to be negative. You'll see that triangle there show up over budget at 100. And in current, you'll see that it is a green check mark because you went exactly on budget. If it is in between, it's going to have no symbol and just look like a normal bar graph there. So let's do an example of adjusting the category name. So if we come into here, utilities, we can change this to, let's say, bill. We'll go with 300 for a limit, and then go from there. So as you see, bills change, so utilities went to bills, and go back here, and you'll see that it'll update in the transactions as well. And as we go to show our full history, you'll see it update there as well.
This is the history page. Basically, the use for this is just to see all your transactions instead of a limited amount. And you can also search for your transactions using the category drop-down menu. You can basically click on that and get any transaction that has that category, and it will update on the pie chart. And you can also search for your transactions by the note. So we're going to go ahead and type in electricity here. And the note that he made earlier with electricity on it pops up right there, and it updates on the pie chart.
And so lastly, we have some custom settings that we can change by activating our side menu, which you can either tap the menu button or just swipe from the side to pull up. So if we go into settings, we see we can adjust our currency, change our login PIN, and manage our app data. So let's go ahead and change our currency. If someone from the UK downloads this app and they want to use the pound, they can go in here, set up like that, and then just go back, and you'll see that it updates automatically across the app. So it's functional for anywhere that they can type their currency symbol in this box. Our pin we can reset, so I'll just, as an example, I'll change it to 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll see that our pin has been updated. 6, 7, 8. If I go log in again, see that 5, 6, 7, 8 puts us in. And lastly, we can not log out. I meant to click on the settings. If we go back to our settings, we can reset all of our data. So when we click this, we'll get a pop-up that says, warning, this is a dangerous action. Only proceed if you're sure you want to do this. We'll get another warning here if we try again. And what this will do is basically clear all of our changes that we made to our categories. It will change our transaction list, all of that. Our currency will get reset. So if we do that, we go back, see back to dollars, cleared out all of our data. This will clear out here as well. And yeah, that's our app spent. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about some of our learning processes and some things that we might have done differently. So Wes, why don't you go ahead with the first one?
I think throughout this project, we have all discussed things that we would have done differently and a lot of things that went really well that we kind of had to guess on the best way to do that ended up working well for us. One of the biggest takeaways on my part, I was trying to implement Firebase to the application, which the final process or final program doesn't have. The biggest takeaway from it was when you set up your initial project in whatever environment you're using, Android Studio, React Native, set up your Firebase project at the same time and introduce them to each other, and avoid using other methods of storing your data. If you're going to use Firebase for your final project, setting it up in the beginning and using that strictly will cut out a lot of the guesswork and will make it easier to implement than if you do towards the end of the line.
But some of the things that we possibly would have or could have done better, I know for myself and some of the other team members, it was better documentation. I know that as we continued and got further in, we started to document a little bit. Some of the changes we made kind of got away from that as we kept going. A lot of it was getting together on certain days, sharing code with Noah. Noah kind of had the master code. We would copy and paste our stuff into his. It probably would have been a little bit better had we documented each push or commit in better detail, or maybe made the commits a little bit smaller. So that way you could actually see the app develop over time and you could go back and have that history. It makes it really nice to kind of show your app progress. Not that we personally know obviously how our app progressed, but it's just sometimes better if you have documentation. So that's something that I would have changed had I done it over again.
And I think something that we can take away from this that was actually really good was that we all learned mobile development completely from scratch. We had no experience with our framework, which was React Native, or the language JavaScript and some HTML. So that was really interesting, getting that all set up and learning our workflow with that and kind of developing as we went along. I think that was something good that we definitely liked. All of us was learning that new language and seeing how we could use it. I think that about wraps up our presentation here. So thank you for watching, and that's our app spent.